So I believe this is literally every Acura model ever made since 1986 to 2024. And I even threw in some like facelifts that aren't actual generation changes. So I think this should be very, very interesting. Starting off, the first vehicle we got here is the first gen or pre-facelift Acura RLX. And I think this is just an immediate B tier for me because I love the design of this. I thought when the first RLX came out, it was absolutely amazing. And honestly, I really, really like that four-wheel steering. And you can even get it with the hybrid. And it actually makes like, what, over 350, 360 horsepower. So that's pretty impressive. And unpopularly, sorry about that, y'all. Like I was saying, I'm going to put the second gen RLX in C tier. I just don't like the more angular design. I like the softer design of the first gen RLX just a little bit more than the facelift model. And here we get to the first gen Acura ZDX. Man, this is going in S tier, at least for right now, because man, the ZDX so ahead of its time design wise. I mean, you know, it had the first J37 in it, I believe. Man, I just can't say enough about the ZDX. Super slept on, super underrated. Man, it's probably out of the modern Acuras, it's got to be one of my favorite, if not my favorite. Especially with the SUVs crossovers. Also, a lot of y'all gonna, you know, comment on the fact that I'm saying ZDX. Man, I'm from Canada, okay? We don't say ZDX here, we say ZDX. And that leads me to the second gen ZDX, which I'm putting in D tier because I do not like the design of this thing. Yeah, it's got a Type S. Yeah, it's fast. You know, I just don't. It's not the worst thing ever, but I'm not rocking with the ZDX, man. The new one, I'm not rocking with it. And here we go to the Canadian exclusive CSX. You know, it had a Type S model here in Canada, the only Type S that America didn't get to my knowledge. And I'm gonna stick the CSX in B tier. Really nice car. Essentially, it is just an 8th gen Civic Si with leather, and it's honestly heavier. Like, you'd be better off just buying an 8th gen Civic Si, and it'd be a faster car because it's just lighter. And here I get to the first gen TSX. Man, I'm gonna stick it in S tier. I'm gonna stick it in S, man. K24, super nice looking car. You know, still raw, 6-speed manual. Yeah, that's what I also have to say. 6-speed manual K24. Yeah, I'm going to leave the TSX in S. Now, I am probably going to revise this list at the end because I feel like I'm going to put a lot of cars into S. And here we have the second gen TSX, which I think is going to go into B because you still had a K series, you still had a manual. The design is, you either love it or hate it. I personally, I'm more on the I like it side than, you know, I hate it side. I think it has something to be desired, but the wagon, we put in the wagon in A tier because I love wagons, and that's like really the only sports wagon Acura ever produced. Yeah. And unfortunately, I don't think we got these here in Canada. I think they were only in America, but that's a sick one. Yeah, I'm putting the TSX sports wagon in A tier. And now we get to the RSX, which I'm just going to put in S tier right away. I feel like that doesn't really need much of an explanation. It's making me feel like I should probably put the ZDX down in A as well, which I think I am going to for right now. Because S tier is going to get filled up real quick. But yeah, RSX, man, arguably the most modifiable platform that Acura has ever made because, you know, there's so much JDM support. A lot like the TSX too. I guess there would be a lot of JDM support. But yeah, out of the old Type S models, I think the RSX is probably most people's choice out of the original kind of 3 or 4 Type S's that came out. And here we got the first gen Acura EL. Now, I'm going to stick the EL in C tier because, you know what, again, this is just kind of the same deal as a CSX. It's just it's basically a Civic, but, you know, it was a little bit nicer. But I actually think the front end on the EL, it's actually taken from the Honda Domani in Japan. But I'm no, or it's the other way around. I think that the Domani took the EL's front end. I think I don't remember which way it was anymore. But I do like the first gen EL a lot. But as a car in total, yeah, meh. Yeah, and that's why I'm gonna put the second gen EL in D tier. It is probably the ugliest Acura of all time. I'm really sorry if you own a second gen EL because I just offended you probably, but I would still own one, like, if given the opportunity, if it was really cheap. I don't have a problem with it at all. But second gen EL, yeah, probably the worst Acura ever made. I'm not gonna lie. It's not the nicest thing ever. But hey, it's reliable. All right, but now we get to the first gen Acura CL, which I'm gonna stick in A tier. You guys know I'm a CL sucker around here. I love the Acura CL, and I think the first gen is honestly super slept on. I have a dream of like getting a first gen, put an H22 in there, and just letting that thing fly, man. I think it'd be super cool. Also, it was the introduction of the J series to Acura as well, which is quite interesting. And I'm gonna put the Acura CL Type S, the second gen CL. I'm gonna put it in S tier. Now, this is, again, guys, please remember, this is my list. Okay, that's controversial because the transmissions on these cars, they don't hold up on the automatics. But just the fact that I own this car, and the fact that they did that super limited run of 6-speed manuals, again, my car, I got too much love for the CL, man. S tier, probably a bit crazy, but I'm gonna stick it in S tier. And now we go to the first gen Acura TL. I really like the design of this car, but I think I'm gonna put it in C tier. Now, it's an underrated car. You know, they were cool with the 2.5 5-cylinders. They also had V6s from like the Legend, I believe, or the RL that they gave it, the 3.2. That's from the Legend, yeah. But for me, the first gen TL doesn't really do too much for me. Now, the second gen TL, again, with all of its problems, I'm still plopping it in A tier. And I think a lot of you would agree. I seem to have a lot of second gen TL fans on the channel, so I don't feel bad of putting the CL's cousin, the direct CL Type S cousin, in A tier. I'm not mad at that. Again, my list, guys, my list. Okay, don't come at me. And that is exactly why this is my list. So the third gen TL is going into S tier. Honestly, it's probably the most widely growing Acura fan base right now. Like, the third gen TL community is just getting bigger and bigger. People are finding out new things with this car all the time. I feel like modding support is just getting better and better. So yeah, the third gen Acura TL, we're plopping it into S tier. And this is where I leads me to the fourth gen Acura TL, which I'm also going to put into A tier. You know, the fact you go 6-speed manual all-wheel drive with a J37, the 3.7 liter, is really impressive. Again, the design of this car is either you love it or hate it. My mom literally has an automatic one of these, and I honestly don't think it's that ugly of a car. I do think the second and third gen do look better, though. It's just more my style. But yeah, fourth gen Acura TL in A tier. Now we get to the first gen Acura RL, and man, this is a VIP car. Like, this is just the most VIP looking Acura ever, and everyone just says how amazingly reliable this 3.5 really was. Ah, man, I don't know where to put it, guys. I'm gonna stick it in... Oh, this is gonna be terrible. This is terrible. I'm sticking it in B tier, though. I don't care. You know, like I said, I really like this car. But for me, the second gen RL is more my thing. I don't know. Maybe it's because it came out around the time I was a kid. But I always thought that second gen RL, you know, they advertised it 300 horsepower, which was really 286. All-wheel drive, the first SH all-wheel drive Acura car ever, I'm pretty sure. Torque vectoring and all. Yeah, I'm putting the second gen, and I'm even gonna put the facelift. I'm putting the facelift in B tier. I actually like the facelift a lot with the 3.7, but something about that KB1 RL is an A tier for me. And I feel bad putting the KA9 in B tier. I might put it up, but for now, I'm gonna stick it in B tier. And here we have the SLX, which I'm also gonna put into B tier because I honestly don't know much about this thing. I had no idea Acura even made this thing until like 2 years ago, because we never got them in Canada. It was only in the States. And it's just a rebadged Isuzu Trooper, but I think it's just super cool looking. So that's why it's in B tier. Also in B tier is gonna go the Vigor, because the Vigor was the start of that 5-cylinder, and honestly, I really like the fact that you could get a manual and a 5-cylinder with the Vigor. Super slept on car, super forgotten car as well. All right, so here we have the first gen Legend 4-door. Man, I feel bad doing this, but these cars, for me, I don't really, they don't speak much to me. It's not anyone's fault. Like, I'm sure if you grew up with this car, it speaks a lot more to you. I would put the coupe in B tier though. I do like the coupe more. I'm just a coupe kind of guy. But the first gen Legend, I think that's a pretty decent spot for them. But the second gen, I'm going to put the second gen sedan in B. I personally think the second gen Legend looks absolutely beautiful, whether it's a sedan or a coupe, because I low-key think the coupe is S tier, baby. I'm not even lying. The second gen coupe has to be one of the best designed Acuras ever. I'm just, like, I'm being completely honest with you. It just has to be. Like, I don't know what else to say to y'all. They just really, they're just amazing cars. So I'm gonna make it easier. I'm gonna put all 3 NSXs in S tier. Now, with the newest NSX, you know, you could argue it's not an S tier type of vehicle. But come on, man, it's like over 500 horsepower, all-wheel drive supercar, and I don't even have to explain what the NA1 and NA2, right? Like, if y'all don't like the NA2, I mean, it's just an NA1, but slightly different. Like, it's still absolutely beautiful and amazing. So every NSX is an S tier, and I don't think you can debate with me on that one. Here we have the first gen ILX, and I'm gonna stick it in. Oh man, I'm gonna stick it in B, because you could get it with the K24 6-speed manual. If you could not, I would put it lower. I'm one of the few people that seem to like the ILX though. I swear, ILX gets some hate too. I like this first iteration of the ILX. Now, the second gen and the third gen, or facelifts, I'm going to put them in C. I think these are good looking cars, and I think Acura did a good job on the design aspect. But I think the fact that the manual was gone, like, I think with this, the second facelift with the jewel eye, which I think looks so good, actually. I think it looks good. I think it would have been better if they would have kept the manual for that too. That would have been such a cool car. Oh man. And here we have the Acura CDX, China exclusive, might be coming to North America soon. I'm gonna stick it in C tier as well. It's actually quite a decent looking little crossover. It's kind of the size of like a Honda HRV, like that first HRV that came to North America. Quite small little Acura. Don't know too much about it other than that though. Here we have the first gen MDX, and B tier is looking big. I'm gonna stick the first gen MDX in B tier though. A lot of people might say these look really ugly, but for me they bring back a lot of memories of when I was a kid, and I still think the design is not that bad today, but I do think the second gen MDX is probably peak MDX. It's almost like worth putting it in S tier. Like, I almost want to, but I feel like I just don't put I'm just not putting SUVs really in S tier. I don't think I could do that. But I really like the second gen MDX. Super nice SUV even today. I'm gonna stick the third gen MDX in C tier. I don't know what it is about these. Like, they're nice and everything, but they don't really speak to me as much as that second gen or that first gen did. Maybe it's just because it looks a little more generic, might I say? Like, I don't know how to put my finger on it. I'm also gonna slap the newest MDX Type S, or I guess the 4th gen MDX. I'm gonna stick that in B tier. Pretty much by the sole fact that there's a Type S version. That's kind of cool, but I think the Type S, yeah, it has its place in the market, but it's, yeah, you know. First gen RDX is my favorite SUV from Acura in general, because that K23 turbo is actually super cool. So we're sticking the first gen RDX up in A tier, but almost want to put it in S tier, but I'm not gonna do that. Second gen RDX, I'm gonna stick it in C. this one doesn't really speak to me that much either. Like, I think it's nice, but nah, I think if we're going second gen SUVs, I would take the MDX. But the Jewel Eye variants of this RDX, I am going to stick in B tier because I just think it looks better. Don't know that much about it. Again, and I'm also going to stick the newest RDX into B tier because honestly, these things look good, but they do just look like, to me, when I first saw them and I wasn't really keeping up with Acura like that, bro, I thought it was an MDX because like these things are kind of big now. Like, it's hard for me to differentiate the newer Acuras with the newer Acuras. That's the thing I don't like about what happened. Like, you could always tell that that was an Acura, but now it's like, is that an MDX? Is that an RDX? It's really hard to tell with Acura these days. Here I get to the first gen Integra. Now, this came out, you know, with the legend when Acura first came here. While I think it's super cool, I'm sorry guys, I think I'm gonna stick it into C tier because there's just not really much. It doesn't really speak to me like a lot, you know. I don't know how else to put it. There's not too much you can do with these cars. I guess you can swap them, but like the second gen Integra is an easy A tier for me. Man, we used to have one of these. We kept one at my house here for my brother's friend. And it's such a sick designed car, man. Such a well-designed car. Absolutely loved it. And this leads me to putting the DC2 Integra Type R, or this is the DC2 in general, into S tier. Like I said, even just the GSR of the DC2, super cool car, man. I don't see these Integras, I don't see either of these Integras around anywhere these days. It's really sad, and it's probably because the Canadian winter just absolutely rusted them to crap. But yeah, what do I have to say? We got a lot of S tiers here, but Acura just is an S tier company, if you know what I mean. If you ask me, they just are. Coming up next, we got the Integra Type S, and I'm gonna stick it into. Nah, man, do I put it? No, I'm putting the Integra Type S in S tier. You know what? It's the revival of the manual for Acura, and I think that's a big deal. Like, I think that is a big deal. And it's fast, it looks good, it's got a nice interior. I'm putting the Integra Type S into S tier. Now we have the first gen of TLX. Man, A tier, B tier, A tier, B tier. Oh man, no, I'm gonna put. I actually really like this first iteration of the TLX. Like, I don't know what to say. Like, when Acura just started with the Jewel Eye, everything wasn't super angular yet, and I kind of liked that. Like, because whereas this facelift TLX, I'm putting down into C. I'm not gonna lie, I feel like I'm disrespecting that facelift a lot. I just don't like it as much as this one. I just don't. Like, and I almost like the first iteration of the TLX more than the TLX Type S. But I'm gonna stick the second gen TLX / TLX Type S into A tier. It is honestly my pick for an Acura daily driver today, but the fact that there's no manual transmission, and y'all know Acura has such a good manual transmission at their disposal, like they used right here. And if you say, oh, they don't have a 6-speed that can do all-wheel drive, look right here, they did it already, so we already know they can do it. So it would have been nice to see that there. But TLX Type S, absolutely beautiful car. Guys, I'm gonna make one quick I'm gonna have a look over at the list before I end off the video, just to make sure that everything's where I like, and I'll be back, so give me a sec. Okay guys, honestly, I couldn't really find anything wrong with my list, other than I did put the KA9 RL up into A tier, because man, in good shape, these are just absolutely beautiful cars. You know, lower them a bit, I just can't, I can't knock that KA9 RL. So guys, let me know what changes to my list you would make. Remember, this is my list, this is my opinion, and I thought it'd be fun to make this video just because I think it'll cause a lot of controversy, you know? So guys, if you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let me know, would you like me to make this video not on a tier list and more in a cinematic style, and I'll actually rank them in particular order, because this isn't in any particular order, by the way. So, all right, guys, hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.